Hey there, Virgo. Welcome to your reading for the week of June 24th. This week, we're going to jump right in here. For your current general energies, you have this card that says the past. It says the past is coming back, old job or old connection. A look to the past to understand the future, a lesson, or an old skill. You also have the self-made card. It says you will become successful or rich by your own efforts there, Virgo. Love that. So I think that we are in a time, by the way, where the universe is really asking us to look at past lessons, like things that we've learned, and to apply them moving forward. So I don't necessarily think this is like about a person returning to your life. I think that that this is more of that energy of looking at the past, and there's a big difference between looking at the past and living in the past. So we're just looking at it. We're just looking at the lessons we've learned, and whatever it is that you want in your life. And then you're applying those lessons to kind of like future situations. And again, this shows up really well in the astrology. And, again, I think that's what's going on here. You have the Four Wands, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Judgment card. I feel like that Four Wands is kind of like talking about committing to the new you, the new version of Virgo, whatever that means, right? And so I think that for a long time, Virgo has been working on like new ideas, new directions. You probably it's kind of funny because I feel like that self-made card there as well kind of says that you've been kind of like working on yourself, on you and how you present yourself and how you kind of present the things that you know to the world. And I feel like the Four Wands kind of is that next stage of things. I always say that the Four Wands, you have to cross through this portal in the middle of the card to get to the other side. And those people are celebrating on the other side of the card. The Four Wands is really a card of completion. It just represents completing one thing and kind of like going to the next. So yes, it could represent marriage, and there are really good love cards in your reading here. So if you want love, could be love, but I really feel this is more about you committing to yourself. You have the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles is my card that says, is the juice worth the squeeze? He's looking at these Seven Pentacles and he's saying, is all the work that I do worth it or not? And again, I think this is kind of where the past is coming up here, is that he's looking at what he has already done. And he is saying, like, these activities are worth it in my life, and these other things that I do are not worth it. And he is deciding, where he's going to invest his energy. He's really looking at growth and where he can get the most growth out of life. And that's what he's choosing to focus on. So again, I think that it would be a great time for you to look at everything that you do and what's worth it, what's not worth it, and double down on the good stuff. And you literally have the Justice card here. Justice is simply cause and effect. It says what's working, what's not working for you, and can you double down on the good stuff. You have the Judgment card. The Judgment card is about waking up and kind of like rising up. So these people are waking up from their coffins. The coffin represents their old life, and outside the coffin represents their new life. And so they are basically just kind of stepping into their new life, or they're being called to their new life. And I feel like the whole entire first row, the past card there is basically saying the same thing. It's like you're taking the knowledge and wisdom from the past, you're bringing it into your new life, and you are maybe kind of living closer to your purpose. The Judgment card is all about living closer to your purpose. And by the way, if you're dealing with something legal, or if you have had like some sort of legal situation, I think whenever we have like judgment to justice, this could say that you're receiving a judgment or you're closing out the legal cycle. With the Four Wands, you have the Seven of Pentacles. So pretty much everything I just said. I think you're committing to what works and you're getting rid of the rest. And again, I think that pretty much until the end of 2025, this is what we're all being asked to do on a collective level. Like, it shows up in the astrology and everything. We're being asked to look at what works, look at what doesn't work, and be honest about that and kind of double down on the good stuff. So pretty simple. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the King of Swords here. King of Swords is the card of knowledge and wisdom. So like I said, I think you're taking all your knowledge and all your wisdom and you're just applying it, which is, of course, you might say that's obvious, but a lot of people don't do it, right? So I think that you are, applying your knowledge and your wisdom. I also feel like saying there's nothing to prove here. We have the King of Swords with the Seven of Pentacles, and then we have the Knight of Swords. I kind of feel like this could be those moments where you feel like you have something to prove, or, maybe people are like calling you out, or people are, getting in your way, or whatever is going on here. And I kind of feel like this is saying that you need to understand that you are, just by existing, just by living this commitment by doing what works, there's really nothing for you to prove. So I would be careful of like getting into arguments and things like that. And especially, by the way, at the end of the year we have Mars going retrograde. I always say Mars retrograde years, I would completely avoid arguments at all costs. And again, at the end of the year, Mars goes retrograde. With the Judgment card, you have the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is about gathering your resources and becoming more resourceful. I think you have been very resourceful, but I'm getting something like more specific here for you, Virgo. Like, let's say that you've been working on a project and you've really had to like stretch your resources out. For whatever reason, the message I'm getting is like, now I feel like you're getting to a place where you're not going to have to do that. It's like maybe you've been bootstrapping an idea, or you've been kind of making small investments, or maybe you couldn't make a complete investment. And what I mean by that is like, let's say you need a website for your business, right? It's like maybe you have only kind of like built a website on your own, and it doesn't look that great, but it's still a website, and you put it up. It's like what I'm seeing in my head is that like now you can like hire someone to build a website, right? I know that's a ridiculous example, but that's kind of what I get here. If you've been bootstrapping something, I feel like you're finally getting to this place where you don't have to bootstrap something. And again, this isn't going to happen overnight. I think this is going to take time. Next, we're going to look at what's coming in for you. You have this Badger Spirit, it says, be fearless, be bold. You have this Coyote, it says, trust in divine detours. Yeah, I see the whole divine detour thing coming up quite a bit for people, where it's like you think you're going one direction, but you actually need to, move in a different direction or do something differently in your life. I think the easiest way to deal with this is justice. Justice says, pay attention to cause and effect. If one way to do something doesn't work, try something else. And, if another way to do something doesn't work, try something else. And, keep making those adjustments. The Badger, I feel like, is just saying, be fearless, be bold. I feel it's saying, in those moments where something, might not be working exactly according to plan, can you keep pushing forward? Justice, probably your most important card here. Justice is about taking a neutral perspective and kind of looking at both sides of something. And again, I think what's important for you here, Virgo, is that when you're working on something, I think if you're like too close to the issue, then you're not taking a neutral perspective, and that could make it hard to see other ways of doing things. So I feel like kind of like whatever you're working on, especially in work or business, I think if you look at those things and you say like, I'm just gonna see how things go instead of like needing things to work a certain way, that is going to really set you free. You have the Four Wands. And the Four Wands really is the card of freedom in the tarot. It's about like setting yourself free or being free in your life. And so I feel a lot of you are kind of, taking more of the approach of saying like, there's this goal or this thing that I want to accomplish, and I'm going to allow it to happen. Maybe that's a better way to put it. You have the Knight of Swords. Again, it's kind of like a weird thing. I think like the closer you get to accomplishing something, that's when the people that want to like knock you off your square come out of the woodwork. And I feel like this is just saying there's nothing to prove. So, again, there could be moments while you're working on a project or an idea where there are people that are kind of like trying to get you to prove something. And I feel like this is just saying, there's nothing to prove. You don't have to say, you don't have to do anything. There's nothing you have to do to prove anything, right? So I feel like this is saying, do nothing. and that's the best way to do it. There is nothing to prove. I have nothing else to say there. You have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, I think Seven of Cups is about being spoiled for choice in your reading, and it's just saying, again, that there are many ways that you can accomplish anything that you're setting out to accomplish, and it's just encouraging you to stay open. I think it's also encouraging you to stay flexible as well. I also feel that some of you, again, if you are looking for love, we go up to the Ten of Wands, to lovers. So number one, I do feel a lot of you earth signs, and you being one of them, Virgo, could be very busy over the summer. So, love might be one of those things where you kind of have to like find the time if you want it. And so you could be very busy. I also feel like there could be kind of like a dreamy connection coming in for you. And I feel like the Ten of Wands is encouraging you to kind of like ground it in reality. So, and what I mean by that is like you might meet a person, maybe you're both busy. So, both people are probably like fantasizing during the day, right? And I feel like the Ten of Wands is saying like, bring it home, He is walking towards this home. And so it says, instead of like just, creating these fantasies, which, that's fun. Everybody does it in relationships. But the problem is like when the fantasy doesn't match the reality, right? That's when we can start kind of like making stories up in our head or whatever. And so I feel like the Ten of Wands is encouraging you to kind of make sure that you're kind of like doing things to ground the relationship, right? With the Justice card, you have the Knight of Swords. See, this could be also justice from a person that did something in your life. This does not have to be love. I actually don't feel like it is love for most of you. I literally just feel this could be a justice situation. Maybe someone stabbed you in the back, like a friend or a person that you knew, or maybe someone did you dirty. And I feel like this has come up for you before, Virgo, as well. With the Knight of Swords, you have the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles says teamwork makes the dream work. So I feel for a lot of you that this is about having, like, whatever this lesson was, I almost feel like this was a lesson, the Knight of Swords. I feel like it's taught you, like, who you can trust and who you can't trust. I am almost 1,000% sure I said this in, like, your last reading. There seems to be some sort of story about, like, learning how to trust people or learning what people you can trust. You know, I will say you're born very close to Leo. The Mars retrograde will be in Leo, and the funny thing is, Leo also gets very similar messages. So, you know, it's like your part of the sky might be learning these types of lessons where, you know, you trusted a person you shouldn't have, or, you know, someone stabbed you in the back or whatever. And I definitely get that feeling here. But, you know, again, the good news is that Three of Pentacles says now you understand, like, who you can trust and who you can't trust. With the Seven of Cups, you have the Tower. The Tower is about, like, a change in reality. And I feel like there has been a change in reality because, as I've said to you before, I really think it's pretty obvious to me and probably pretty obvious to you, Virgo, that your work is changing. So I feel like the Tower is talking about your work and, like, what you do for work. I guarantee you, if you look at even just, like, the past 2 or 3 years, that you are doing things much more differently than you normally would. It's like maybe you were stuck in a work cycle where you were just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I think now you could be trying new things or experimenting more. Justice, to me, is definitely kind of like this experimentation energy where you could be kind of like experimenting with the way that you work or how you present the work that you do. And we're talking about work or business here. That's how it's popping into my head. And I think that it's changing. And again, this is going to be a good thing. I think this is a good tower. I think this right here was probably a bad tower. You know, the lesson you had to learn with another person. But it looks to me like, again, you've learned your lesson or you've learned what to look out for, you know, with people or in regards to, like, who you can trust and who you can't trust, right? Next, what are we doing? Oh yeah, messages from your future self. You have this flow card and this action card. Yeah, I feel like your future self is encouraging you to get into the flow. It's like whatever, you know, I really see a lot of you Virgos. It's kind of weird. There aren't a lot of work cards here, but I just feel it more intuitively that you have learned to do new things in work and business that bring more flow. And you have that self-made card. It says you will get rich or successful by your own efforts. So if you want success or if you want to, you know, get rich or whatever, you know, whatever that means for you, abundance can come in many forms. I feel this is saying, like, getting into the flow and you know, finding something that is flow. You know, it's like I always say, it's like, you know, most days I start my readings, I'm like tired because I do them right away in the morning. But by the end of the readings, I have tons of energy. This puts me in flow. So I feel if you can find something like that you could do all day long that puts you in this flow state, then you're going to be much more successful. So I love it. You have the Nine of Swords, Ten of Wands, and the Six of Wands. The Nine of Swords is like a never-ending nightmare. I do feel like some of you, if you had to learn a difficult lesson with a person, you kind of felt like you would never escape this difficult lesson. But I do feel like you are escaping it. I would also say, you know, make sure you learn the lesson, right? Because Nine of Swords is a never-ending nightmare. So if there are opportunities for you to repeat the lesson in the future, I feel like the Nine of Swords is saying, don't, right? Obviously. I also feel this is saying, like, this is talking about breaking things off quickly. That's what I'm getting here in my head. Like, if you are entering into, you know, work relationships, or even just new projects or whatever, and you can kind of tell that things are not going to work, I feel this is about, like, did you learn from the past, which the whole first row is really talking about? Did you learn, like, the point when you should walk away from something that isn't working? I kind of do feel that there could be, you know, some sort of, like, work thing that's coming up in the near future where you're going to have the opportunity to walk away from it because you know that it's not going to work based off of past, you know, past information or whatever you learned. And I feel this is saying, you know, trust yourself, more or less. You have the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands says you're going to be very busy. This is also one of those things where, you know, again, I think you're going to be very busy, you know, moving forward into the future. And this is basically saying, you know, make sure you don't waste a bunch of time on things that are going to pull you away from what's important. You know, the Ten of Wands, he's about to have a harvest. He's walking towards his home here in the background, and so he's about to be successful. but he only has so much energy to give. He's actually at his limit, right? He cannot give to anything else in this image. So I feel that protecting your energy is what your future self is saying with this card, and also the Nine of Swords. It's saying protect your energy because you are about to be successful. You have the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is success, victory, a lot of attention coming in for you as well. So you only have so much to give. And I feel this is saying, you earned your right to be on that horse. And so you could be on a little bit of a high horse, but I think you've earned your right for this success that's coming in for you, is what that's saying. And let's see where this is going. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Ace of Pentacles. I literally said that there would be some sort of opportunity coming in for you. I'm wondering if there's like 2 opportunities coming in for you in the very near future, probably like this month, next month, between now and the end of July. And I feel like this is saying, if you're weighing up your options, the reason I say there are 2 choices is because you have the Lovers and the Two of Swords here. And the Lovers can represent being at a crossroads or having a choice or a decision to make. And the Two of Swords can kind of represent the same thing. And I feel the thing with the Two of Swords is that she is maybe trying to find like a middle ground. It's kind of a card of coming to an agreement, or, it can represent being stuck in a stalemate, being stuck between 2 ideas. But I feel like one thing is going to be much better than the other. And this is kind of like saying, I feel like it's saying you can't make everyone happy. And those are kind of the words I'm getting. I don't really see that in the cards, but intuitively I'm getting that. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Hangman. I feel like you're ready for hard work. Hangman has put himself in Hangman mode to gain enlightenment. And so you've gained the answers you need to kind of like accomplish something that could require a lot of work, with the Ten of Wands. So this to me says that you're thinking about doing something like that's going to lead to a big harvest, right? Because he's carrying a big harvest on the Ten of Wands. And if you haven't gotten started yet, which I think most of you have, on this journey that's going to lead to a big harvest, then I feel now is the time to get started. You will be successful. With the Six of Wands, you have the King of Cups. King of Cups says trust your heart. Again, I always say I believe we're moving into this heart-based time, and the King of Cups has very deep emotions, but he has also learned how to trust his heart, his inner voice, or what his inner voice is telling him to do. And so I feel like for a lot of you, you need to do that. You could also be attracting either a King of Cups or a King of Swords. I do kind of feel like you're attracting like a very mature person. I'm not saying that they're necessarily older than you. They could be, but I think it's more a maturity thing is what I'm getting here. The King of Cups has learned a lot of emotional lessons. And so he's, on the highest vibration version of the King of Cups. Did I say King of Wands? I don't know what I said, but the King of Cups, on the highest vibration version, he is very emotionally mature. And I think you could be attracting a more emotionally mature person. You have this card that says it's time to release negativity, and also this card that says hold your vision. This is coming up in the good stuff, and so whatever comes up here, it's going to be good no matter what. And clearly, it is time for you to hold your vision. You have that self-made card. Kind of tells me that this idea that could make you self-made is coming from your own vision. And I definitely feel it's time to release like a negative situation. Again, I feel like this is a story that repeats right here. This right here is like something that has repeated in your life. And, I keep getting stabbed in the back. I'm not saying that's what happened exactly, but, I think for some of you, there's like a stabbed in the back situation. And this could be in work or business or someone who did you dirty. Like I said, I don't even think that this is just in love. But I feel like there's a story that has repeated, and I also feel that the release negativity is saying, release the story, right? You have the Lovers, so I do feel there could be love. Not like, it's really not a major focus in the reading, because again, I think you're going to be very busy throughout the summer, but if you want love, there could be a person. I really feel the Lovers is talking about you having a choice to make, and but the Two of Swords, even though the Two of Swords is coming up in the good stuff, it's kind of saying to you that, that you're trying to find like middle ground where there isn't, or maybe you're trying to find balance in a situation where there isn't going to be balance, and you just have to pick the choice that's correct for you. And I kind of feel like that's what that is saying. You have the Two of Swords. Two of Swords can kind of represent trying to find a middle ground, but I really intuitively feel there is no middle ground. It's like trying to do 2 things when maybe one thing would actually lead to the result that you're hoping for in the first place. That's kind of what I'm getting here. And so you might be thinking like, oh, I can balance these 2 businesses, but maybe it would be better for you to just do one, the one that's clearly working, because cause and effect with the Justice card. And I feel like that's what will lead to all your success here. I kind of, it's coming up in the good stuff. So you're probably going to have this realization anyway. You have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords moving on to calmer shores. Again, you're moving on from a lot. I mean, it literally shows up in your astrology. And I think you're moving on from the story that is this right here with the Six of Swords. And things are about to get a lot better for you here, Virgo. With the lovers, you have the Ace of Cups. Very loving connection. I just see two people. Again, I don't think this is like a criticism or a bad thing. I just see a lot of fantasy. And then again, I think sometimes when we get into those relationships where there's a lot of fantasy, the fantasy doesn't match the reality, and then you start questioning things. And trust me, I've been there. I'm a Pisces, right? I'm daydreaming right now. So I think that what we have to do is we have to do things to make sure that we bring that fantasy into reality as much as we can. And I also think that grounding, if you are meeting a new person, having those moments where you kind of like bring it down to earth, you ground it in reality, that's going to be important for whatever reason. This could be a very good relationship, but again, if it escapes too much into the fantasy world, for both people it looks like, then it's not going to be good, right? With the Two of Swords, you have the Emperor. Yeah, you taking the lead. The whole entire reading is about you. You have that self-made card. That card might as well say self on it. I think that you are taking the lead. I think you're taking action. You have this action card over here. The Emperor is all about taking action. And I just think you're taking action on a direction. Now with the Six of Swords, you have the Devil. The Devil's coming up in the good stuff. And again, Six of Swords would literally represent moving away from the devil or moving away from something that is like stuck or not working. And what do you know? This card didn't want to come off the table. You have the Chariot. So the Chariot would be like charging forward towards success or charging towards something that you want and desire. So that looks really good. You have this love card. Here you go. Definitely could be love. Again, I'm not saying this is something that's going to be set in stone yet, because again, I see fantasy. Sometimes when I see stuff like this, I'm wondering like if someone's moving or if this is like a long distance thing, because it looks to me like there's a lot of time to think here. And the other thing I would say is it's like, are both people legitimately busy? And is that the thing that's giving this space of fantasy? I'm not sure yet. You're going to have to let me know. You have the April card. You have this mountain. It says major challenge to overcome. I think you've been dealing with major challenges, and now you're just like climbing those mountains. You have this eagle. It says triumph over troubles and obstacles. Like I said, I think you've been dealing with problems maybe all year, and now you're kind of like overcoming these challenges. You have this wishbone. It says a wish granted, which is really nice. I think you are getting a lot of, you're having a lot of those moments where you're getting things you wish for. You have two cards here. This dolphin says financial gain, usually coming from something you did in the past. You have this camel. It says persevere and you will overcome. So a lot of stuff about overcoming things here. And how funny is this? Financial gain, usually coming from something you did in the past. The whole first row was about looking at the past and seeing what you learned. And that's where the financial gain could come from. You implement the lessons you learned, and now you're going to be successful. So love it, Virgo. This looks really good. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.